The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 473. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a phenomenal lady on the show today. She's a singer-songwriter and also an alopecia awareness advocate, and she's going to explain more on that. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Abby Asistio. Abby, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to our listeners.
Hi, Sheena. Thank you for having me on the show. And I'm so excited to be able to share my story. And you mentioned that I was an alopecia awareness advocate. To those who don't know what alopecia is, it's actually a hair loss condition. So I've had that condition since I was 4. And because of that, I ended up losing all my hair. And so now, even if I'm a singer-songwriter, I use my music to touch and inspire others, as well as lead alopecia support groups here in the country.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that, and thanks for sharing what alopecia is. I didn't even know. I wasn't aware of it. So it's great to know. It's great to know that that you have support groups and you're using your music to spread more awareness and inspiring others. So thanks for sharing that. And Abby, what's your cultural background?
I'm Filipino. I was born and raised here, but my mom is part American. But I'm full Filipino, and I'm a Christian.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
My favorite self-confidence quote, I never really bothered to take note of which ones my favorite were, but this is the one that I could really relate to in terms of my journey as well. So it's being bold enough to use your voice, brave enough to listen to your heart, and strong enough to live the life you've always imagined.
Thanks for sharing that. And that's a beautiful quote. Confidence is, always about being brave, right? Even if it scares you, even if, you don't know what's going to happen, just going out there and living your dream, that's true confidence. So I really love that quote that you mentioned. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
For me, self-confidence is being able to accept who you are, both the good and the bad, and your strengths and weaknesses as well, and embracing your uniqueness, while at the same time having the courage to shine, regardless of what other people think. I think that's one thing that really gets to most people. That's why they're so afraid, is because they're worried about what other people would think. But in the end, self-confidence is really listening to your own voice and having the audacity to share that voice with everyone around you.
Thanks for sharing that. And I love that definition. And it's so true, right? Especially as women, especially as Asian women, we're so afraid of what other people think of us that we're too afraid to do something, take action on our dreams. And we all go through it.
I was saying, given all the standards around us as well, that's why it's so difficult to go against the flow or embrace something that's uniquely yours, because everyone else is telling you to be a certain way. So for me, confidence is really about following your own way and making your own dreams come true.
Totally. I totally agree with that. And, there's so many different ways to live life, but sometimes we're taught that one rigid way that if we go out of it, it's like we're a failure. And, it's not, right? It's just someone's view on how, we should live life, but it doesn't mean it's the absolute way to live life. So I really love that, what you mentioned as your definition to confidence. And, Abby, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
Well, I was a very insecure person. I would always be the happy person in front of everyone else. But I think that was my way of compensating to all the insecurities that I had. And this was mainly because of my alopecia. Because I didn't have hair growing up, I thought that other people wouldn't accept me for who I was. Since we were talking about standards a while ago, girls are supposed to have long hair, to be beautiful. And so I grew up not thinking or believing that I was beautiful because I didn't have my crowning glory. So because of that, I lived in shame. I hid behind my hats and my wigs, and I would never show other people what was underneath, because for me, it was like being naked. And I didn't like being vulnerable that way, because I know that it would only lead to hurt, because they wouldn't be able to accept me, or they wouldn't like me because of my condition, because of who I was.
Thanks for sharing that. I think that's something we all go through. Sometimes, we can't accept who we are. We don't feel as beautiful enough because we compare ourselves, to models, on the cover of a magazine, or, in the Philippines, big billboards that, you see on the highway, right? And it's like, I don't look like that, so I'm not beautiful, but, beauty's within us and it starts with us. And, it was that aha moment when you realize, you're worthy enough to go out there and live the life that you want, regardless of, what other people think or even what you think, right? Because like you mentioned, you were so afraid of showing your true self. What was that aha moment?
So even with me being afraid, I felt limited as a person, and I felt that there were so many things that I couldn't do. Like even if I wanted to sing, I felt like I couldn't do so the right way because people would judge me because of my wigs and how I look like. But it was in 2012 I started singing, and because of that I was wearing wigs, right? But there was a suggestion for me to go bald, and I couldn't accept it because it was easy for other people to say, why not just go bald? It would be a good like fashion statement. It would be a good marketing strategy. But I was like, it's so easy for you to say that, but it's hard for me because it's a sickness that has brought so much negativity in my life. And so after that suggestion, I checked online and came across women from different parts of the world with alopecia. And I saw how in other parts of the world there were movements, there were women speaking and being brave and courageous about their condition and telling the world that they were still beautiful even if they didn't have hair. So when I saw that challenged me, and it made me realize how it was possible to actually rise above my alopecia and use it to inspire and touch others. So since then, I devoted myself and committed myself to really informing others about what alopecia is. Awareness was important for me because it made other people understand and be compassionate towards those with the condition. And since I came out, turns out that there were hundreds of us with alopecia here in the country. And so because of that turning point, that epiphany that I had, I was able to transform what I thought was a weakness into a strength and an opportunity and a platform for me to really embrace myself, embrace my womanhood, embrace my condition, and use that to uplift and inspire others.
Thanks for sharing that, Abby. I think it's great that you're out there bringing awareness to it, because I think awareness is the first step. And once people are aware that, there is alopecia, especially, in a country like the Philippines, we can find solutions or even have support groups. Most of us feel like we're all alone in this world, right? Like nobody understands what we go through. But when, like you mentioned, you went online, you saw that there's other people who, have the same condition as you, and, they're empowering other people through, their condition. And sometimes, they say our greatest weakness is also our greatest strength, and we can use it in a positive light, which is what you're doing at the moment, which is great, and I think it's amazing that you can go out there and empower others and inspire others despite what life gives us, right? And, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey of self-confidence. What'd be that one tip you would give to her?
Well, for me, it's always faith over fear. I think sometimes we make our own ghosts and monsters in our lives, and it's really about what you allow into your mind and into your heart. Like, I realized the reason why I was so afraid and I felt so limited was because I was dwelling on those thoughts and I was entertaining those thoughts. And so those fears became my truth, when in fact, I had the key to the own prison cell that I was in. And it was just a matter of me making that choice to be brave, making that choice to be confident, and making that choice to embrace myself. And when I finally turned that key and locked myself from that, everything just happened for me. I mean, I just felt so liberated and so free. So to those who are listening to this, you may be going through your own insecurities and your trials and your problems, but in the end, the key is inside of you. You just have to find that strength from within and that beauty from within to own it and rise above the difficulties.
Thanks for sharing that great tip, and it's so true, right? I know, like you mentioned, sometimes it's easier said than done, but we have to start somewhere, and the more we take action, the easier it actually does get, right? Sometimes the first time we do something that scares us, of course, it's going to be like the scariest thing in the world, but once we kind of like go over that hurdle, we're invincible and we can go do, anything else that we can put our mind to it. So I really love that tip that you mentioned, especially, faith over fear. I think it's great. And, to the woman who's listening to your episode, if they want to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, or check out some of your work, your songs, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yes, my website is abbyasistio.co, but you may also find me on Facebook. It's facebook.com/abbyasistiomusic. I'm on Twitter and Instagram @abbyasistio. And if you are in the Philippines or near my area, my gig and event schedule, even talks are going to be there. So just check it out. We'll keep you posted.
Thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Abby, you can also head on over to the taoofselfconfidence.com and search for Abby's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I just really want to thank Abby for taking the time to share her story with us today. So thank you so much, Abby.
Thank you, Sheena.
Not a problem. It's really great having you on the show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of the Tao of Self-Confidence. Get your free audiobook by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.